Hey everyone, Bryce Greenleaf here, your real estate agent with Skyline Properties in the greater Seattle area. So today I wanted to talk about the top 5 first-time homebuyer mistakes. So let's jump right into it. All right guys, so like I said, I'm gonna talk about the top mistakes that first-time homebuyers tend to make and that you need to make sure you avoid if you're thinking about buying a home here in the near future. So number 1 is collecting new debt when you're going through this home buying process. That means applying for new credit cards, that means buying a new car, taking out a personal loan, anything that's causing a new inquiry to be pulled on your credit, or where you're accumulating more debt on your credit report. The reason for this is because when you get qualified to buy a home, when you get pre-approved, a lot of it is based on your debt to income. And so if your debt goes up in the middle of this process when you're trying to buy a home, when you were approved for say $500,000 at one point, that now may very likely change because your debt has gone up and the debt to income ratio is no longer the same than it was when you got pre-approved. So when you're going through this home buying process, make sure you don't do anything that's gonna affect your credit score negatively and cause you to possibly get your financing denied when we go to close on your new home. Mistake number 2 is not getting pre-approved. A lot of buyers just get all excited about buying a home and they wanna go out and start looking at homes before they even take care of the financial end of things and getting pre-approved to know what they can actually shop for. You might start looking at homes that you think you can afford but are actually way out of your budget, and then you're getting your hopes up way too high and you've got to be brought back down to earth. So it's just best to get pre-approved first before you start shopping, so we know what price range we're able to look in, you know what price range you're gonna be expecting in terms of what the monthly payment is gonna be on that home, and then you can get going and we can start shopping for homes and finding that right one for you. Now, mistake number 3 is not getting a home inspection. Now, this comes down to who you talk to. There are a lot of buyers that decide not to get home inspections in order to make their offer more competitive on a home. In a market like this where it's really competitive and most homes have multiple offers on them, a lot of buyers will waive their inspection contingency in order to make their offer look stronger to the sellers. Now, these buyers are taking a risk that there's nothing in the crawl space, in the attic, behind the walls that they can't see that's going to affect the home after they get into it, cause them thousands if not tens of thousands of dollars if something is wrong that they didn't know about and then they have to get fixed. That's why I advise all of my buyers and why I think it's so important that you get that inspection done before we buy the home so you know what you're getting. You don't want to be stuck with a $20,000 bill after you've bought the home that you knew nothing about, but now you're having to put in an extra $20,000 into this house because there was something wrong that you couldn't see with your bare eyes. So when you're buying a home, make sure you get a home inspection. Now, mistake number 4 is buying too much or too little home. So this can go both ways, because if you buy too little of home, if a year and a half to 2 years down the road, you've already outgrown that house, you're expanding your family, whatever the case is, and you need to get into another home, you're putting yourself in a bad spot. If you're trying to sell that home with being there for less than 2 years, you're very likely not gonna have enough equity to be able to sell that home that quickly and be able to cover all the costs that are associated with selling the home. So make sure it's a home that can last you at least 4 to 5 years when you buy that home. Now, on the flip side, buying too much home can also be a thing. Whether it's for those of you that are downsizing, you no longer have kids in the house, and you're looking to buy another home, maybe something without stairs, you still end up getting a home that is very large. Maybe it's just a really large rambler. It's got a big lot, and all of a sudden you have all of this home and this property to maintain, and it gets overwhelming and you regret your decision to actually buy that large of a home. This can also be said for first-time home buyers. They have this dream of this big home that they want to buy, a 5-bedroom home. Maybe they can afford it. But once you get into that home, you might come to realize that it's costing a lot more to maintain than you thought it was. Your utility bills are a lot higher. The appliances and things that are associated with the home that you have to pay to maintain, maybe it becomes too much for you. So it's important that you shop for a home that makes sense for your lifestyle, something that's not too small that you're going to grow out of, or something that's way too big that you're going to regret buying because of all the maintenance required with it. And now, mistake number 5 is not considering commute times. Now, that's especially prevalent here, you know, in the King and Snohomish County area where our traffic is just absolutely terrible. If you're working in downtown Seattle, I would not recommend that you go out and buy in Mount Vernon because the prices are a lot cheaper. You want to make sure you consider that commute time. And one thing I often tell my clients is, if you're thinking about purchasing a home in a location that's a good distance away from your work, maybe it's worth making that commute during rush hour before you start looking for those homes so you know exactly what you're expecting. There's also some apps that can tell you different drive times at different times of the day, because if you buy a home and you're spending 2 to 3 hours a day sitting in your car commuting, that might be something that makes you regret that purchase. After all, nobody likes sitting in traffic, and it depends on the person. You know, maybe for somebody it's worth that extra commute time sitting in that rush hour traffic to get a bigger home further out. For others, sitting in that traffic is just gonna be nothing but a pain in the butt, and they're gonna regret their decision on buying that home too far out from their work. All right, guys, so that was my list of the top 5 first-time home buyer mistakes you've gotta avoid when you go to buy your next home. If you're thinking about buying here in the near future in the greater Seattle area, King or Snohomish County, reach out to me. My number is here on the screen. I'd be more than happy to help you out, answer any questions you have, and get you started on the process. Thanks for tuning into this one, guys.